Hey everybody, this is the Sliders Review, and since it's Women's History Month, I'm here today to talk to you about Enchanted, the 2007 movie starring Amy Adams. This movie is one of my all-time favorite Disney live-action movies. It's so, well, enchanting. And 15 years later, they came out finally with the sequel. And it came out on Disney Plus, and I have no idea how it was because I've never seen it. But I've heard it's not as good as the first one. Basically, Disney and Amy Adams, I think they had a bit of not so good terms after the first movie. Basically, from what I remember hearing, that the reason why has never been made into like a doll or a Disney princess is because Disney never wanted to pay Amy Adams for her likeness. So this is why you never see any merch by her or of her. But when you stop and you think about it, technically Giselle isn't even a Disney princess. She was just a normal girl in the beginning of the movie, and she never married the prince. So she never became queen. In fact, the Nancy character ends up marrying the prince. So if anything, then she should have been like the Disney princess. But of course, Disney doesn't want to pay nobody for their likeness and stuff. And it's just Disney being their butt-headed Disney self, which just gets on my nerves and stuff. But Amy Adams is phenomenal in this movie. It really caused me to just pay attention to her. Because I've seen her in two things before, but I never really cared. It was Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Smallville. And Buffy, she had a small role, and I don't know if I've seen her at that time. And I think I don't know if I watched her in that Smallville episode at that time. So it took me a good while to get back into season one and stuff when I started getting halfway in the series. So I never really paid no attention to her, but then when this movie, my God, she became one of my favorite actresses and stuff. And so many other things that she did, I just wanted to watch. A few things I have, like Man of Steel, and not one race car movie. But other than that, I've never seen her in anything else. There's this one thing where I think she plays like a Catholic nun or a Catholic teacher or something like that. I really want to see that movie. It came on TV one time and I started watching it, but something else came on at that time and I didn't want to stay watching that movie. I don't even remember the name of that movie. I need to look it up online. But she is an amazing, amazing, amazing actress. But lately, some of the stuff she's been starring in has kind of bombed or flopped or whatever. Which is quite a shame because she is one of those really good technical dramatic actresses, but she proves she can also do comedy and stuff. And this movie is very unique. It kind of is a parody of the Disney princess trope in Disney animated movies. And it kind of it flips the script. And I love anything that can flip a script and be very entertaining. And so the whole thing about this is it has that whole Disney animated vibe where they actually do sell animation in the beginning of this movie to show the life of Giselle. She's just a normal girl who goes on adventures and save woodland creatures of all things. From like a giant ogre and troll type person, you know? And of course, the prince, what's his name? Prince something or another. I can't think of his name right now. Crap. Oh, Prince Edward. He takes a liking to her. And so, of course, in your Disney fashion, he falls in love with her within 1 second and wants to get married. Very cliche Disney animated movies like, Beauty and the Beast and The Little Mermaid of all things. And that dude saw her as all like, I don't know who she is, but I'm gonna find her and I'm gonna marry her. I'm just like, wait, what? Where's some consent in that? Yeah, you have some permission. And so, like, of course, they're supposed to be wed and they're singing and all this other stuff, but then his stepmother is the evil stepmother, and she does not want him to marry her because he will gain more power as a king and overthrow her and stuff. So, like, she sends Giselle into the real world and everything. And this is so crazy. Like, it's so cool because she's a fish out of water. And everything and every person she sees, she just assumes is similar to her world, but also it is not. When she sees a person with dwarfism, she's assumed that he's one of Snow White's like little dwarves and everything. And she's like, oh my God. And so she is completely like baffled by everything she sees, and she is completely terrified of everything she sees. She is so scared out her mind and everything because it's not what she's used to. That whole Disney formula, it's a formula for a reason, and it's safe and it's secure, and the real world is not. It is only when she is befriended by that of a family, a father and his like daughter, this is when she starts to adjust to normal livings of life. The thing I love the most about this movie, other than that of the music and Amy Adams' performances and the rest of the performances in the movie, like from James and stuff, is the internal emotional transformation of Giselle. She really has to learn a life lesson in here. She's not a bad person and she never made a mistake, but it's one of those things where it's like when she was in the animated world, it's almost like mentality wise, she's like a child and she has to be learnt, how to like, navigate through life and everything. She has to let go of her innocence. She has to let go of like her childhood in a sense. When she realizes that, where she is now is home and this is how the real world operates, and you see her shedding that of her Disney princessy type look. She's no longer wearing like, the big poofy dresses. She's no longer like prancing and dancing around. She's no longer singing and stuff. She's like not really talking to no animals. She has almost like, it's almost like, the youth in her has been like sucked out, and here's now kind of like this boring corporate adult type person, that a mature person that everybody eventually is going to have to become, and it's a really unique metaphor and stuff, because towards the end when she's at the ball, like, she's no longer talking the way she does. She's dressed in an actual gown, like, somebody will wear at like prom or like an award show or something like that. And then you see Prince Edward by her side, and he's still in his animated like mentality and everything, but she has truly like matured to the point where she realizes that this whole like love at first sight, the Disney formula and everything, it's not for her. And instead of like falling for Edward, she is now falling for the other dude because she actually got to know him and hang out with his daughter Morgan. And like, and he's been teaching her things as she's been teaching him stuff. It's a real relationship. And that's what I love about this movie, man. It's like, it's kind of reminds me a little bit of, what was that? The Goofy movie or something like that? When, like, Max grew up and Goofy couldn't really accept that and everything. And it was so weird because we knew Max as a child from the Goof Troop show. And here he is in this movie, almost an adult. And he's changed, and a lot of fans couldn't accept that back then, but now they're looking at the movie through like different lenses and stuff. Now the movie is narrated by Julie Andrews of all people, and a lot of women who voice Disney princesses are actually in the flesh in this movie. Like they're playing like completely different characters. And that's so cool, man. I've always wondered what they look like and stuff. And so this is your traditional like Disney S type movie. You have a prince, you have the evil stepmother. She wants the kingdom. If he gets married, then she's not gonna get it. So she has to take out like, the female and stuff. So she sends Giselle to the land of like, the real world, I guess you could call it and stuff. And then she's the whole fish out of water type thing. And everything is taking her by surprise, which I already mentioned. I kind of forgot what I talked about because the phone rung and I'm just now getting back to it after watching a couple of movies and stuff. So yeah. And so is there like blind to the world, she meets Morgan and her father and stuff, played by Patrick Dempsey, who's always playing that like, devilish, like, good looking type, charming type guy. He does that in everything he's in. That's why they call him Dr. McDreamy and stuff from Grey's Anatomy. And so, like, he thinks she's just like nuts and completely nuts. And she's acting in her Disney type fashion, and he lets her spend the night. And so then, these two start to learn from one another once they start disagreeing on stuff. He doesn't believe in true love's kiss. He doesn't believe in love at first sight. She thinks he's like insane. He thinks she deserves to be in like a loony bin and everything. And, it's cool because they didn't start off as like liking each other. They had friction and everything. And it's only within time of the movie that like they start to like bond. But of course, this is causing problems from his real girlfriend, fiance, Nancy and stuff, played by I'm getting tongue tied trying to say her name. Oh crap, I can't think of her name right now. I know what it is. I know it's Menzel, her last name, Adina Menzel. I can't think of her name really. I'm getting tongue tied in my brain. Because I'm always saying her name in my head, but for some reason I can't say it out loud. Adina Menzel. And so like, this is probably one of her first acting roles because she's a singer and everything. I think she was in Rent, but I never saw that. And so, like, she's an amazing singer, man. Like, my God. And it's funny because, she later on became a Disney princess with the whole Frozen movie and stuff. And the whole Let It Go song. Oh, that's such a great song. But anyway, so this is causing problems between those three and stuff. And while all this is going on, Prince Edwin, I think that's his name, Edward, is looking for her. He travels to the real world with, like, Nathaniel and everything. Pip is tagging along and all that other stuff. And so it's cool because Pip, when he's in the animated world, he can talk like a normal person. But when he's in the real world, he just sounds like a chipmunk. And so Nathaniel's working for the evil queen and everything. And she wants him to, get rid of like Giselle. So we get some really cool references to other Disney movies. The Poison Apple, The Hat, True Love's Kiss, waking like the princess up. Like all that cool stuff that you see in animation is actually happening here in live action. So Nathaniel's doing a great job of like distracting the prince and everything. And James is hilarious, like reacting to all the real world stuff. Like, like the bus and like, the trains and like the food. He thinks a hot dog is really a dog. And he really is acting Prince-like. And so, of course, when he does meet, when all of them meet up and everything, then she kind of reverts back a little bit, a slightly bit, back to her animated form. But then she's not. Because now she no longer wants to sing, she no longer wants to dance, she no longer wants to do any of that. And now she wants to start doing normal stuff, which he has like no interest in doing that. And so, in a way, when they do get to the ball, like I said before, they're with their dates, but then they start dancing with the other person. It's a beautiful song. I love that song. And then, of course, the evil queen decides to take matters in her own hand. And so, like, then we get the reversal, the flipping of the script, where Giselle is the hero and the Patrick Dempsey character is the damsel in distress. And it's really cool to see that. Like, I really wanted her to slash and gash, like, that dragon up and everything. And so, eventually Pip is helping and stuff, and they defeat the evil queen, and so she decides that her fairy tale life is just that of a fairy tale, and this is what she really wants. So she stays with the Patrick Dempsey character, and then Nancy decides she's gonna go back to Annalasia and be with the prince, and ends up marrying him. And so we see her in animated form. So technically, she is the real Disney princess. And and the cool thing about the Patrick Dempsey character is that he is very by the book, very serious, very stern. And Giselle was able to open up this friendlier side of him, a more playful side, something he isn't with his daughter. With his daughter, he wants her to be the most biggest feminist she can be, having her read like these huge books on like famous women of like the past. And so she really never has that time to like be fun with him only when she's by herself and she's having like a tea party and stuff like that. And I like the Morgan character. She's very mature for her age. I have no idea why she didn't reprise her role in the sequel and stuff. I really want to see the sequel, but I'm kind of scared because people didn't like it and stuff. And so, because I love this movie. I love this movie. When I saw this thing on TV, I was obsessed with it. I was recording the songs and everything. And I bought it on DVD. I used to watch it all the time before streaming took over. And so it's kind of like, what is Disney doing? A lot of their streaming movies just aren't good and everything. A lot of their live action movies aren't good no more. And it's quite a shame because, they're Disney and everything. Another great thing about this movie is the parallel of the emotional journey that Nathaniel has to go on. Like, I was very shocked and surprised about that message and stuff. Now, he's played by the dude who played Wormtail in the Harry Potter movies. I'm glad he's in this movie and got more to do than he did in the Harry Potter movies. And also, it sucked that his character didn't get to die the way he did in the books. But anyways, Nathaniel is like the henchman of the evil queen, and he does all her bidding. He tries to kill Giselle over and over and over again with the poison apples, but fail. And he's always having to wrestle around with that Pip and stuff, the little chipmunk. And so while he has to distract the prince and everything, he realized something. Like, who is he as a person? He knows the evil queen is using him. She doesn't respect him. He doesn't feel loved. And like, does he even love himself? Like, who is he and everything? And so towards the end of the movie, after being threatened by the evil queen and used and manipulated and all this other stuff, he finally stands up to her, telling the truth to everybody else of what the plan is, and refuses to go along with that of the evil queen. By the end of the movie, when the credits and stuff are rolling, we see he has now written a book and everything, finding the real you and everything. And not the title on the book, but I'm just saying, like, he found, like, the real person that he is inside, and now trying to teach others to do the same. That is such a cool message and everything. I love James as the prince, but sadly, the prince never really learns a lesson in this movie. He is who he is from the beginning in the animated world. He's just a prince. He loves going on an adventure. He's looking for that one true love, and he's gonna marry whoever he looks at for the first time and think is hot and stuff. But boy, he is great comedic relief in this movie. It's sad that Disney had to be all Disney when it came to Amy Adams and never gave her a sequel much earlier and stuff. Because, like they could have done more with the Giselle character. Of course, they couldn't do much with her, like in the real world, but they could have made like an animated movie where we see her in the animated world, like fighting bad guys and saving the day and talking to woodland creatures and stuff. They could have even made an animated series or something. And then, of course, they could have made a live action movie a lot sooner than what they did. Man, I can't wait to see Disenchanted. Just hope it's not as bad as everybody says. Happy Women's History Month, everybody. All right, I'll talk to you later. Bye.